What's up, everyone? It's your boy NeemaNaz. This is Stupid Neema, episode 6. Today we have a special guest here again. He's all the way from Australia, but also from Italia. He's an entertainer, he's a comedian, he's a radio host, he's a TV host, he's everything that you can imagine. Please give it up for James Liotta, everyone. James Liotta.
Yay.
James Liotta.
You've said it correct.
I know, I said it correct off camera, and then right now I said James Liotta.
Liotta. No, you said
the
it
Canadian
well.
in me.
No,
It's
but
the
you
Canadian
say it well because we all know you're amazing with your accent, so you would know. You would know how to say it.
I do know. Yeah,
Yes.
I have a knack for the accentuation and pronunciation of different cultures' accents. And
You do.
In certain places where they add the accents too.
Is there any places that you still haven't mastered? Because you know a lot of them.
So many, of course. Yeah, man. Like South African is one of the hardest things for me. Like I've always wanted to nail down a South African accent.
You'll get there,
but it's hard, man. It's because you know what it is. It's like a mix of Aussie, English, and African. Like
so we don't know what it is.
I have no idea. It's literally United Nations of accents into one person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. It's impossible. But obviously, you know, like my own culture, the Middle Eastern cultures are very easy, you know. It's something close to me.
Of course. The ones that are closest are always going to be the ones you grew up with.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Like Canadian, obviously, American, a lot of American ones, you know what I'm saying? But I really, what I do want to do next is a lot of the European ones, obviously, which is obviously where you're from, you're Italian.
And they do differ.
They do. There's so many,
right? They do differ. Like there is a difference between, say, the Italian accent when you speak in English, and the Greek accent.
Oh,
there are just
slight differences, but also very different at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're Italian. You said you were born in Sicily, right?
No. So I'm born here.
Oh, you're born here, right?
No, I'm born here. So I'm really not from Italia.
You're not Italian.
I'm not. Do I have to go? No.
Get off the pod. It's over.
No, I'm born here, but my parents were born in Sicilia, in Sicily.
Right, you have to say it's Sicilia.
Sicilia.
Bella ragazza.
Bella ragazza. Beautiful girl.
Yeah, beautiful girl.
That's it.
I said that to everyone. I heard if you don't, a common thing in Italy is if you forget a girl's name, you just call them Bella.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, there are married couples together for 80 years that forget each other's names, and then they don't know any different because they go, amore, bella, tesoro, which means treasure.
Tesoro?
Tesoro means treasure.
That's funny.
So they've forgotten each other's names, they don't know because they've just been calling themselves these things for years.
Right, yeah. But it's so romantic, it sounds so good.
It's better.
You almost don't even mind.
It's better. You don't want to go Carmela.
Right.
You just Bella is fine, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, can you speak Italian?
Yeah, I can.
Fluently?
Yeah, fluent. So I can speak fluent Italian, and I can also speak our dialect.
Oh, so Sicilian dialect.
Sicilian dialect.
Oh, right, because it's very different from like regular Italian.
It is really different, but it's more so different to other dialects across Italy.
Right,
so if you go to the north, they will not. It's a completely different language, dialect-wise. North to south.
Right, like Calabria is like completely different to...
Calabria is probably the most closest because you've got Sicily and Calabria there. But you've got to go right to the north.
Like
so
let's say,
and stuff? Yeah, exactly. So
and
if
Napoli?
you go up there... Yeah, Napoli, you're still towards the south.
Yeah? Okay.
You got to go to Venice, for example.
Right.
If you speak Sicilian dialect in Venice, no chance.
Really? Like those people won't even understand each other?
No, you have to speak normal Italian. No, they won't understand.
Really?
No. And you won't understand theirs at all.
Wild.
It's like Japanese to them.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's actually Japanese, actually.
Yeah, it is Japanese.
In Venice, they speak Japanese. I don't know if you guys knew that.
In Venice, they've got this sort of accent where they go, they've got this sort of style where their dialect is like that.
Yeah.
Which if you push it, it does sound Japanese.
Molto bene.
It's the crossover between Venetian and Japanese. It's the crossover we needed.
Arigato.
Arigato. Arigato. Yeah, that's the other way.
Yes, the other way around. Sashimi.
We're having a ball now. It's too much fun. Try it at home.
Try it at home. Please try it at home.
Try it at home.
So I saw that you did Deal or No Deal in Australia.
I did. I was just.
What was that about?
I was just a contestant.
Oh,
it was actually filmed in November.
In Australia.
Yeah.
There's an Australian Deal or No Deal.
Yeah. I won $250.
That's it.
Yeah, but you see, I wasn't the main contestant. I was one of the people opening a bag, a suitcase.
Oh, so one of the women who usually do it.
No, we have normal people that open the suitcase
Really?
here.
Cause,
Yeah,
'cause the ones in America,
it's a bit different.
It's
I
like
know.
it's all models. Just
Yeah,
like
I
10s.
know. No, so here,
So then here, like, yeah, let's get this fucking Italian guy to open the suitcase.
it wasn't just me.
Yeah,
It was like 20 others as well.
Right.
But yeah, look, it's just a game show, as you know.
Yeah.
So you have to audition for this, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You
Wait,
have
audition for what?
to be considered a contestant on the deal.
What are you even doing for the audition?
You just tell okay, all right. So they ask you questions. They want personalities, right?
Yeah.
So they ask you questions, and you know, one of the biggest questions they ask you at the audition is if you won if you win the $100,000, which is the jackpot, what would you do with it? And they tell you, we don't want you to go. I'd go on holiday. I'd give it to my parents. You know, like they want you to say something extravagant. You know, because they want a story. And I told them that if I won, I would use all the money to hire billboards of myself on the freeway to promote my show, which cost like 25 grand each. They're not cheap. Anyway, just to give them something a bit more quirky.
Right.
Anyway, so then I got through the auditions, then they put you in, they say, all right, can you come in for this record date? You come in, but you don't know if you're going to get picked to be the contestant, the main contestant.
Oh, so you're in the audience this whole time.
So you're in the audience.
Okay.
They pick someone at random. So I didn't get picked, but I got a chance to open the suitcase, to go up and open a suitcase.
Oh, so you could have been one of the main contestants that do the
but it's
actual
random.
game?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's random.
Oh, so then how many people are up for that game?
One per episode.
I'm saying, like, how many people are, like, in the queue, like, out of how many people can they pick? One person.
There's like a group, they're segregated into 5 groups, and the group has maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 people in it, and then one person gets picked to play the main game. The others go on to open a suitcase.
Ah, interesting.
And I won $250 because I guessed what I had in my suitcase.
Right. You
And that's
guessed
it.
$250?
No, I won $250 for guessing what was in my suitcase.
What was the guess?
$1.
Oh,
That's what I had
really?
in my suitcase, $1.
Oh, wow.
But the girl who was playing, she left me. Luckily, she left me till the end. There was only 4 cases left.
Oh,
so the chances are better.
Right.
And I was praying that you would leave me till the end, so my chances would be better. And
it worked out.
I haven't got the money yet.
Of course. They probably take forever.
It'll take forever.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
So
I don't care.
it was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, so you yourself, though, you said you're a radio host.
Yeah, I do some radio shows, which I've been doing radio since I was a teenager. And
How old are you now?
41.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after 40, you have to. Did you see how I paused? After 40, you have to start to remember, like, the age that you are. You know, I'm 41. No? You know, well, I took off all my hair a year ago because I was losing it over here. I was losing it all. I just take it all off. People say I look younger now than balding, right? Balding.
100%.
If you're balding, you don't look.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
what I was using. Proactive. Wasn't working.
Yeah, because I saw pictures of you with, like, more stubbly, like, hair on top.
Yeah.
I'm like, you look older like that.
Yeah, I do.
So
People
it's
say
better,
that.
way
it's
better.
better.
It's cleaner,
take
right?
it
It's
off.
better, yeah.
Except the maintaining of it is a pain in the ass.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
Can you give me some of yours? You got
yeah.
lush, thick hair.
Hey, man, if you want to take it, we'll shave it after.
Mate,
I'll
give
just
me-
staple it on your head. Or we could go to Turkey.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, nah.
Nah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
Nah.
That's also my favorite Aussie slang. It's like,
nah.
no worries.
Yeah, no worries.
So you said you started when you were a teenager. How old were you?
Yeah. When
do
I started radio, I
Yeah.
started radio at 14.
14?
Yeah, 14.
What do you mean? Like, how did you even...
Well, because there's a lot of community radio stations here. So at 14, you start off in community radio. And in community radio, obviously, it's unpaid work. It's more like a hobby kind of thing. But then off the back of getting a lot of years of experience in community radio, I went into paid radio fairly quickly after that.
How long after?
18, 19.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, paid radio.
That's pretty good.
So that was good.
You're making a living out of it.
Oh, well, I make a living out of combining everything I do in entertainment.
Right, true.
That's one portion of it. I don't solely make a living out of radio.
And are you still doing radio right now?
Yeah.
And what's the name of the radio?
Well, I do 2 radio shows, one on a Wednesday night on a community station called Inner FM here in Melbourne. And then on Thursdays, I do a show on Italian radio, which is across Australia, but it's in English, but it's on Italian national radio. And that's a commercial station.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Italian national radio, so it plays in Italy?
Oh, you can online, but it's in Australia, nationally in Australia. but it's on
mostly
an
for
Italian
Italians.
network. It's for Italians, yeah. But my show's in English, like English spoken, so anyone can tune in.
It's
and be
kind
part
of
of it.
like TLN, right? You know TLN?
I don't know what TLN is.
Oh, okay. I actually don't have it here. TLN's like it's called the Latin network in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much like all the Italians in Canada. Like
Right.
it's like, but it's in English. They have English, but it's
Yeah.
also in Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
so
like similar.
It's
vibe.
bilingual.
Yeah,
it's
bilingual.
a bilingual show.
Yeah.
But that's a commercial network.
Right.
So it's kind of bigger than. Well, it is bigger than the community radio in that sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And have you ever done things in Italian?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what?
In terms of entertainment?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started in entertainment, I started off as a child performer, and my father used to write and produce comedies and dramas for the stage for the Italian community of Australia, and they were quite big deals in the 80s and 90s, and I used to perform in them, and they were fluent Italian-speaking shows. So I started off performing in Italian language.
Sick.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, performance is performance. It's just a language that's changing, right? I mean,
true.
the stagecraft is stagecraft. It's,
You still have to have the delivery.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
facial
All the
expressions.
rules of performance applied, no matter what language you use. So I've done plenty in Italian language. Yeah.
Have you done some recently or no? It's more,
No, not
more
as
so in the
recent. It
past.
was more in the past. Yeah.
Why do you think that stopped?
Well, partially they were with my father, and he stopped doing them. I mean, my father's not around anymore.
Oh, sorry to hear
So
that.
that's all right. Thank you very much. And partially, they were with him, and also a lot of the generation that were watching those kinds of, because you got to imagine in the native language, they appeal more to an older generation. A lot of them are not with us anymore that were coming to see that stuff.
That's true.
And it's the next generation.
Yeah.
And they're not that interested in seeing fluent stuff in the language.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Because we're Persian, right? Like, I was born in Canada, though.
Yeah.
And a lot of people my age, my generation, are like me, where it's like I know the language.
Yeah.
I understand it pretty much fully.
Yeah.
But like I can only speak it like 50%, maybe 60%.
Sure.
Right? Like I can get around if I needed to, if I had to. But he's a little bit better than me, my brother. But but he was actually born in Iran.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then he came when he was like 2, so it's like he didn't even really experience it himself. But for me, it's like most people are like me though, who are born in America, born in Australia, born in Canada, wherever. And it's like it's kind of a dying art form of
course,
like no one's really doing the native languages anymore.
No, not as a full set. Or
No.
I mean, I just don't know where the audience would be for it, because to be honest, like I can speak fluent Italian, but there's a lot of people of my generation in my age group that are Italo-Australians just like me, can't put a sentence together of Italian. So there's no room really here to go native with the language, you know?
100%.
So that's it.
I know, and it's also I was gonna say like for Persians too, like same thing, like similar vibe, right? Like, but really any immigrant background of the languages, we don't have anyone to really speak that language with as much anymore either.
Yeah.
Because the older generation is kind of dying out, like slowly but surely, right? It's like if I'm not home with my parents, I'm not speaking Farsi. I'm not speaking my language, right? Like my friends, I have Persian friends, right?
But you wouldn't speak the language.
We speak in English.
Yeah. The only things I say with my Italian friends are all the rude words.
Exactly, same.
To emphasize a point or something.
100%.
We all connect on rude words.
Literally, that's the only way. We do the exact same thing. Like when I see my Persian friends, like I'm not gonna say it, but it's usually only the funny dumb words,
exactly,
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I totally understand, and it's
I kind of get it too. I mean, I'm born here.
Yeah.
My mates are born here.
Yeah.
The most Italian I speak to of my generation is if it's someone who's come on the boat, recently.
Yeah.
Who's from there, from Italy. Then I would converse, I'd push to converse in Italian with them.
For sure.
But there's just no reason
to
speak in Italian to a lot of my mates who are Italian,
Yeah. It's so interesting because I was watching, Shalma? Shalma, like he's like the biggest polyglot in the like He's on YouTube. He's massive.
Yeah,
Some white guy,
I've seen,
but he speaks fluent Mandarin and Cantonese.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But he also goes around in New York. He lives in New York. He goes around and just like impresses other people's other cultures with their languages.
Gotcha.
He learns it like quickly, right?
Yeah.
Whenever he does these videos, pretty much every single video that he does with a different culture, they all say, "Oh, even our locals can't speak as well as you." And I'm like, do you think it's the same thing in Italy? Like, you know, how is that possible? Why would they not be speaking as well as before, as like older times? You know what I'm saying?
No idea.
Do you think it's because people are speaking more English these days? You know, because English is becoming such a fluent language all over.
Look, I mean, in Italy they can speak a lot of English these days.
Yeah.
But I think in Italy they still primarily it's their language. You know,
Of course. Yeah.
You know, now if you go to the south in Sicily, they still speak a lot of dialect, even in the shops, in the street.
Yeah.
As opposed to the fluent Italian.
Right. So you're saying people in Sicily aren't learning like regular Italian?
No, I mean they know regular Italian. They know it. They're definitely learning it. I mean, they know it. Of course they know it. But they opt to use a lot of dialect. I found anyway. Now, I haven't been back to Italy in a long time, but from what I hear from others as well, they're quite happy to speak the dialect. Where if you start to go further up, you know, the map of Italy, you won't find the dialect as heavily used as the South use it.
Okay.
They'll speak a bit more of the just prominent Italian language.
Yeah.
And obviously the accent changes a bit along the way as well. They've got their own accent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I also realized there's a big meme these days too with Italians about the nonnas, you know, kind of slowly dying out too. Like, you know.
Yeah, well.
Like the traditional nonna is like no longer. No one's in our generation growing up to be a nonna like the nonnas that we have now.
But that's impossible.
No?
It can't happen. But that's why a lot of the comedy in relation to ethnic comedy, whether that be Italian, Greek, Maltese, whatever it is, we try to keep those memories alive because we know that they're dying out.
Yeah.
So a great way to keep those memories alive is through comedy.
Exactly.
Because they do a lot of funny stuff.
100%.
So
yeah, and that's why I'm like, it's a little concerning because what's going to happen to the food in Italy if the nonnas are gone?
yeah.
Who's cooking the Italian food?
Luckily, I think food is one of the things that gets passed down. I think.
Do they? Because I know a lot of
so.
nonnas have the recipes.
And they don't want to give them up.
And they're not giving them up. So who's getting the recipes?
They teach the next generation, but they don't give them the book. You have to just memorize it.
But then at the same time, our generation's so dumb.
Yes.
And too short attention span to even care about.
If I can't microwave it.
Yeah. Who's spending 3 hours doing bushels of tomato in our generation? No one's doing that.
It still happens a little bit. We Italians love to do tomato sauce day.
Yeah.
You know.
Tomato season.
Yeah, look, it does happen, but...
Pomodoro
rosso. But it's not as frequent. It's not, you know.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like concerned because I'm like I love Italian culture.
Yeah,
I want to go to Italy more and more.
Well, maybe you're the man to bring it back.
I'm gonna be the next,
and you're not even Italian.
I'll be the next nonno. I'll be the new generation nonno.
You can do it.
Just boss people around.
Yeah, that's it. You can pass. You can pass as an Italian. Absolutely.
Oh, people think I'm Italian all the time.
I've heard you say it before. Yeah, Greek, Italian.
Same shit.
Yeah. You can pass as that.
It's actually funny because people,
the difference is about how hairy the back is.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you lie with that. I don't want to know, but
I have no hair on my back.
That's good.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like disgrace to Persians too because Persians are really hairy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that where the Persian carpet comes from?
Yeah, it's from my back.
The back.
That's where all the hair went. To the Persian carpets.
That's where it comes
Persian
from.
rock. Yeah, there you go. I'll teach you how to do
Persian,
I know.
You teach me how
vocals.
to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you do characters of nonnas and stuff too, right? Online.
Yeah, I do. I concentrate on a lot of that sort of stuff using my background. Right. And by no means am I the only one out there, even in Australia, doing that kind of work. But there's a whole bunch of us that do it.
Yeah.
And we do parodies basically of our parents and grandparents, and just amalgamate them into one sort of character that we have as our style.
Right. And because I find it to be the most relatable thing to most humans worldwide. Because and even for me, because like I don't have a nonna, but I have a grandmother. Yeah. Who's like a nonna. Yeah. So even you doing a nonna, my boy Mark Anthony Synagoga, back, I'm sure you've seen his videos.
Yep.
He does, nonna care. He does nonno stuff, right? Yep. Like all these other Italian comics who do these parodies, I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, I don't have a nonna, but I relate to it because my grandmother is very similar in many ways.
It's all about relatability.
Yeah.
And that's why when we do these kinds of shows, we do get, I'm an Italian Australian comic who concentrates on Italian skewed humor, but it's so relatable to other Mediterranean cultures and other cultures. I mean, look, even Indian families and Chinese families relate to it because they grew up in very similar styles of strictness, of family values. And so when they come along, they go, yeah, my dad was just like that too. And I'm Indian, you know? And I think that's such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
100%.
It just brings us together.
Yeah, that's why
we all got smacked, you know?
Oh yeah, in one way or another.
Yeah, exactly.
Either physically or verbally.
Both.
Both. Yeah. Did you get smacked a lot?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
what was the most common thing that
forms part of the humor? Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you got your bald head? They just slapped the hair out of you?
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Well, like, what was the most common thing that
To
they
get
did?
smacked for?
Yeah, what was like the thing that for you, like growing up?
Oh, look, probably answering back. Just
do you mean?
Like being rude back to
Oh.
my parents, like saying
That's the main reason they would smack you?
yeah, I mean that would be a key factor if
Yeah.
I like we call it answering back. Do you know what do you guys like to your parents?
Talking back.
Talking back. Yeah.
Talking back to
Okay.
them, yeah.
Right. Same sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Talking back.
Answering back sounds like you should answering back to a phone
Yeah.
call.
No, that's what we call answering back. Talking
Yeah,
back. Same thing.
I answered my mom's phone call. She slapped the shit out of me. Can't believe it, man. I'm just fucking trying to answer my mom.
Well, she would if I answered back and then talked back on the phone. Now that's just it was a bit confused.
Right.
No, obviously that was a big one, but just not following instruction, or even causing a tantrum for no reason.
Right. Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah,
shut the hell up.
Yeah, but the smack. There was no warnings. There's no warning with.
Yeah.
Wogs us. There's no warning. You just get smacked. You don't.
Right. Yeah.
You might get a warning, but you're still going to get smacked.
The warning is the first
The
smack.
fact that, yeah. If you don't be quiet, I'm not going to smack you. I'll smack you anyway.
Exactly.
You're going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
kind of
Hey,
thing.
stop that.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But the biggest thing is that we came from parents that
They got worse.
You couldn't do it. Oh yeah, they got
worse.
They got worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They're only products of what
Right.
they grew up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you can't blame them. Now that I'm older, I'm like, the behaviors that our parents have, it's hard to fully blame them for how they act towards us.
Yeah,
because
of course.
they learn from their parents, and then but slowly but surely, every generation that comes up, you kind of you inch towards getting better and better each time.
It diminishes a bit,
Right,
doesn't it?
slowly but
Yeah,
surely. Right.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
now we're not gonna really hit our kids. Like, I mean, maybe I will. But.
Look, I think it's important though when we talk about this kind of theme to acknowledge the fact that there's smacking and then there's other
violence.
There's a violence
different,
and
it's
abuse, and that's
different.
That's not on.
No, that's that. Yeah, that's
We're
not
talking,
good.
No, that's not on. So
For
if,
sure.
if anyone's watching and they know
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that sort of stuff, like
course.
we're not
We're not condoning
making fun,
any of
we're
that.
not condoning or making fun
Right.
of any of that.
Yeah,
But we
that's
are,
different.
We
That's
are
different.
talking about just your general smacks or threats of smacking.
Right, but it's more like it's more
disciplinary
yeah.
kind of stuff that we can laugh about
Yeah,
now.
it's more with those are more with good intentions.
Yeah,
It's more like, all right,
absolutely.
like shut the fuck
Yeah.
up, like relax. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
more
mean, I used to get smacked even if I hurt myself.
right. Yeah,
Because
that's
I'd
a
done the wrong
classic.
thing,
Right?
right?
Yeah. It's like, how's it my
So
fault?
I'm already hurt.
Yeah, you're
right?
gonna hurt me again.
They're upset about it, and they hurt me even more.
Yeah, that's funny. That's happened to me. Like, I never got hit for that, really.
Yeah.
But like, if I hurt myself, my mom like, see you fucking idiot.
yeah. Because
This is what you get.
most likely they told you to not do whatever
Yeah,
it
it's
is
like,
that you
see,
did.
I knew it. It's like I was like, I knew it. See,
So-
I told you. Like they're the god of.
So
like,
here's
they know
another
everything.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what you get. Yeah.
But my father, it wasn't just smacking. Like my father, I remember my father once dunked my head into a plate of pasta because I talked back to him in front of all my cousins.
No way.
Yeah. We were
That's
sitting
funny.
at the table at my grandmother's house, my nonna's house.
Yeah, nonna.
And it was more. It didn't hurt. He didn't like, he didn't slam it.
bash
But
it.
he basically it was to humiliate me because I talked back to him, and he just did it really quickly. He goes, just bang like that because I.
Like, what did you say for
Oh,
him?
I was that young.
Oh, okay, it was a long time ago.
I honestly, if I could remember,
that's funny.
I would tell you. I can't remember, but I remember the moment
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because
How could you forget that?
Yeah, it's a humiliating factor. One that I laugh about now and I love to tell.
Of course.
Because, you know, we get over things and...
Of course, you have to. Yeah. It's all part of the growing up.
Yeah.
And
But can you imagine now us having a kid going, I dunked his head into it. You couldn't even say it as a joke, mate.
No.
You could not even...
Yeah, you get cancelled.
Oh, yeah, I can. You'd be arrested.
100%.
Yeah.
You did what?
You did
your
you
kid's face?
did what? Yeah.
Dumped it in pasta?
Pasta? Yeah.
Did you feed him?
Yeah.
No, we just put it in
Yeah,
his
no,
fucking
I can't-
bolognese.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Put your face in a bolognese.
Bolognese alla faccia.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
No. Oh,
Face bolognese.
Face bolognese. Penne
Bolognese,
alla arrabbiata.
bolognese alla face.
Alla faccia.
Alla faccia. Alla faccia.
What's your favorite pasta, by the way?
My favorite pasta is spaghetti marinara.
Ooh.
I
so
love
very
seafood.
basic.
I love seafood.
Oh, you're like
Yeah.
very simple kind of.
Well, seafood's the most expensive one though when you go to a restaurant.
But isn't spaghetti alla marinara, that's like just tomato sauce with spaghetti, right?
No, marinara, like seafood. Marinara is seafood.
I thought marinara was tomato sauce. Or is that?
No.
Sorry, that's sugo.
Sugo.
marinara
is sauce.
means seafood?
Marinara means like marine. So therefore seafood.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Sometimes they also can call it a pescatore.
Right.
Which means fisherman.
Yeah, pesce
some sort of,
means fish, right?
So you can use both. But commonly here in Australia, if you see on a menu spaghetti marinara, it's with seafood. And you can have it in white or in red. So you can have red sauce, or you can have it not white sauce, but more of like an oil based.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
In bianco, they call it. In bianco.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's my favorite,
Right.
which I don't get because it's expensive. I never had it.
So you never had it?
No, I wait for my mum to cook it. She can buy the seafood.
Yeah? Is your mom like a really good cook?
She was, because my parents actually owned a restaurant when I was young.
Really?
And my mum was the cook.
Wait, in Australia?
Yeah, in Australia.
Where,
Italian
in Melbourne?
restaurant. Not too far from Melbourne, in the outskirts.
Oh, nice.
In a suburb called North Fitzroy. Not sure if you've been there.
Yeah,
North
Fitzroy's the gay area, right?
Is it?
I'm no serious.
No, actually, are you confusing that with Fitzroy Street in St Kilda?
Yeah.
No,
No, not in St Kilda. Fitzroy itself.
Is it? I haven't been back.
Yeah.
It's a gay area
He
now.
was there recently. He's like, there's a
Is
lot
it
of
a
like,
gay area?
there's gay flags everywhere. There's pride flags
Oh,
everywhere.
it must be very,
Maybe it's new.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been told.
I haven't
Like
been
when
there
I
in
go and do
ages.
sets,
Yeah. You go to the
like,
gay
yo,
sets?
you're going to the gay district? I'm like, yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna, gay
You know
sets.
sets?
Gay sets is very close to gay sex, yeah.
Do you have to do it holding a gay time
Yeah,
ice cream?
yeah,
as
you have to
well?
hold a pride microphone. It's a dildo mic. Like this.
I knew this. This has come from somewhere. Anyway, that's cool. I got it. I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
So North Fitzroy was this restaurant?
The restaurant was in North Fitzroy, and it was an Italian restaurant.
What's it called?
It was called Trattoria Sebastiano, which was my dad's first name.
Oh, nice.
Which,
Classy.
Which goes to show how the style that I grew up in, because my mum was the cook. My mum couldn't even have her name on the title of the restaurant because it was the man who had to,
That's the
held the
Italian way.
held the power,
Yeah.
which you couldn't do that these days.
Why?
Well, just think, women would go, should be Trattoria Sebastiano and Maria.
And
Not
Maria.
And Maria is my
Of
mum's
course it's
name.
Maria. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maria's every
back
Italian
then-
person's name.
Yeah, that's right. Maria.
How many Marias do you have in your family? Like extended family, everything?
There's at least, I think there's 4, but I've heard of families
That's
with
low.
a
That's
lot
actually
more.
low.
That's actually low, yeah.
Yeah.
There's at least 4.
Yeah. At least 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
There's Giuseppe and Maria. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's it.
Yeah. Giuseppe's a classic.
In fact, if you go to Italy and go into a piazza and just for fun,
What's
you
a
go,
piazza?
Oh, like a square, like the main square.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like so you go to the piazza and you yell out just for fun, just go, "Hey, Giuseppe!" There's about 40 guys that will just turn around and go,
Wow, actually?
yeah, because it's so common.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
That's
Only
right,
in
next
Italy
to-
you can do that.
Yeah. Is there like a Persian name that's really popular?
Yeah, there's tons, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. What's a really common one? Maybe. Reza is a very...
Reza?
Reza.
Reza.
Yeah,
So would that happen,
Mohammed
like,
Reza, Mohammed.
You go to Persia and just like somewhere,
there'll be
popular,
a
and you go,
Reza.
Reza! And then
Easily.
like lots of guys turn around.
Easily. Puya.
Neema's actually pretty popular.
Neema?
I don't think so. Not as popular as Reza.
Hey, does your name mean anything?
It does, but I don't remember what it is.
Oh, okay,
Do you
cool.
know?
It's a clam. Cloud. CLAM.
Like a circus clown.
Clown. Got it. Clown.
Yeah, he doesn't understand our accent either.
I always forget that I have an accent.
Yeah.
No, got it now. Like when you said circus, I
Clown,
understood.
yeah.
Clown.
No, he's joking.
Oh,
Yeah, he just says that all the time.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know.
No, oh mate, yeah, I'll believe anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
like, oh wow, what a perfect name.
Exactly, that's what I was going with. I'm like, can you believe it? You're a comic and you're a clown, and
I know, perfect.
I mean,
Perfetto.
aren't comedians? Aren't we just like clown? I mean, we're
Yeah,
clowns.
we're
We're just
very
not
clowny.
circus. We're different kind
Different
of
kind of
clown.
clowns.
We're a talking clown.
We're jesters.
Yeah.
We're modern day jesters.
Yeah, that's
what
it.
right? Kings
So-
back in the day, they had jesters.
Yeah.
We're the same thing.
We make a living out of being a clown. Best job in the world.
100%. And then our kings are the audience now.
You like that? That's deep. That's deep.
You like that shit?
Modern day jesters.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll be like, "How dare you, bigot?"
That's real deep. I reckon you're ready for a book.
I'm ready for a
Yeah,
book.
yeah. After that, you're
No
ready
way.
for a book. No, a book. You're ready to read a book. To write one? No, just read one.
Imagine after all that. You know what? You look like you're ready to read a book now.
You're ready for a book.
Yeah, no, I do. There is a meaning to my name, but I forget what it is. Like,
Find out.
yeah, search
Oh,
it.
there
But
you go.
I mean, I wish
Google
I wish we
time.
could call into my mom right now and she would literally translate it. But
Like call a friend.
call a friend, yeah, literally, yeah. Deal or no deal.
deal or no deal.
Neem, like I think, Neem, which is like half my name,
Yeah.
literally means half.
Right.
The literal translation of Neem is half.
All right, I got Neema's. So in Swahili, it means born during a prosperous time, but its Persian form, Neema, translates to famous, renowned, half moon, and young. Neema is also a popular choice for little ones with Hebrew roots, as it means grace or mercy.
Well,
You hear that? Famous.
yeah, that's the bit
Hear
I
that
took
shit?
from that, right?
It's meant to be.
They missed clown somehow.
How good is that?
That's pretty interesting.
There you
See,
go.
I knew it was half moon. Half moon, I knew that before. I forget the rest of it, but I didn't know it was famous. That's sick. I actually didn't know that.
Brilliant.
Let's go, baby. Andiamo. Perfetto.
Andiamo.
Shit. Did you ever, I forgot to ask, did you ever get hit with a wooden spoon?
Oh yeah.
That's the
Sometimes
classic
they used to
Italian-
break on your arm. I used to put my arm up and
That's hilarious.
they'd break.
Fucking Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And sometimes like when the wooden spoon would break, she'd just go for the metal one instead.
Wow, that's way worse.
Yeah. Metal, well, that one doesn't break as easily.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
That breaks you.
It breaks you
Yeah,
emotionally for the next 27 years
the
of your
difference
life.
between the wooden and the metal
That's it.
is that the wooden breaks, the metal breaks you
Fucking
100%.
movie Gladiators based off his childhood.
Yeah.
just getting beatings. Dude.
That should be a bit for you. That's funny.
It's like gladiator. It's like
No,
being-
that, but also
No, I
the,
do-
the silver spoon.
Yeah, no, I do.
Oh, you already do it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I do
All
have
right,
yeah, no, because part of the gag is that it's a misconception that Italian mums would hit you with the wooden spoon. I never got hit with the wooden spoon. It was always the metal one instead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
the
funny.
big just goes like that. I can't do it now because I've done it on you.
Oh, you've done it before.
I've just done it on you.
No, who cares?
Podcast.
It's just a premise right now.
True.
No, but you said you actually have done this on stage.
Yeah. I've done.
Okay,
I've
so
done. I've done some
it
gags.
here. Yeah,
I've done
of
some
course.
gags on stage.
Yeah,
in
no.
relation to.
Of course.
I think all Italian-based comics have all done
Yeah,
gags
the
on
one
being
some
hit
version.
with the
Yeah.
wooden spoon.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, oh, it's hack or it's like it's been done. But I'm like, I think if it's your own version, if it's authentically your experience, you should be allowed to talk about it still.
I think it's fine.
You shouldn't just be like off bounds because someone else already talked about the specific topic.
It's you got to
I think
put
it's
your
dumb.
own twist on it.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it.
We can definitely all talk about similar topics, but what the difference is
Right.
in the gag
Yeah.
and the setup, but
Right.
the theme can be the same.
Yeah, I agree.
You can talk about another Italian can talk about their family. I can talk about my family.
Everyone does
They
it.
can talk about making tomato sauce.
Right.
I can talk about making tomato
Right.
sauce, but I certainly can't do his story
No.
and his gag.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
got to do my gag
Yeah.
about tomato sauce.
100%.
That's fine.
That's the same way with because when I do accents, right? Like Russell Peters is a heavy influence for me.
Yeah.
People.
You opened, didn't you?
I did. I opened. Yeah. It's
Amazing.
pretty sick. Yeah. Huge milestone. Huge milestone.
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
great.
Dream come true, honestly. But people, sometimes they're like, oh, like Russell Peters already did accents. Like, like it's kind of it's too easy or it's hack or whatever it is. But I'm like, well, this is just how I grew up.
Yeah.
Like, how do you want me to just not be myself?
Yeah, but you're not doing his gags.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
not like exactly. It would be different if I went up there and I was like, be a man. Like,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you retard- you know what I'm
I
saying?
know. People like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people are illogical.
Of course.
You know?
there's a lot of illogical
What?
people
So,
in this world.
so Russell Peters does accent. No other comic can do accent. Like, what's the logic here? You know?
100%. Same with
Like-
videos too. Like we always talk about my brother and I, how like people are like, oh, this guy already did this video, yo, you should tag him because he already did it once, or like, but it's not even the same video. It's
Yeah.
just the same topic. I'm
The
like, what? I
topic
can't
is-
make a
Exactly.
similar video on this.
Exactly. The
What?
topic-
You're saying every single video you do about something that's already been done, you have to tag that person every time? Are you insane?
That's just silly.
Yeah,
That's silly.
that's heaps of silly, mate.
Yeah, it's heaps silly, mate.
Heaps silly. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Heaps silly.
Yeah,
Is
you
that-
could say
doesn't
it.
sound right.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
okay.
heaps silly.
Heaps silly. Yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree. And there's
Yeah.
as long as your content is fresh to you and
original.
you're aware that
Right.
to the best of your knowledge that you're not doing someone's gag,
Right.
and that sometimes we do think the same, and so that can be hard. It's very common to come up with the same
Very
gag,
common.
but you've got to be morally just about it. And if you know that someone's doing that gag, don't do it. Come up with a new gag.
Yeah, and also everyone's so everyone's like, oh, you could be original, but I'm like, no one's really original because everyone's inspired by
Well,
something.
that's right. We're all motivated by
something.
other people.
And
Yeah.
even if whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, it's
Right?
unconsciously.
Yeah.
We're all. I wouldn't use the word copying, but inspired.
No,
I think
inspired.
is correct. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. As long as it's authentically your experience,
Correct.
and you're putting your own twist on it.
Yeah.
That's the key right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did your parents? What did they think about you going into entertainment?
Well, given that my father was involved in entertainment of some sort here in Australia, as more of a hobby, second job kind of thing, not as a full-time thing, they were fine with it. Of course, there comes a point where they're like, "Are you going to make money out of it?"
Like
and I think when it comes to ethnic parents and the arts, the question is always comes down to money. It's not about we don't think you're good doing this or we don't like you doing this. It's are you going to make a living out of it? Once you show them that you can make a living out of it, they were sweet. They were fine. But I think there was a point where maybe, when I'm 18, 19, like, are you going to get a real job,
Going
But
to construction or something?
Yeah, exactly. We're all doing construction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, all
We're
the times,
Yeah. Italians built
It's
half
worldwide.
of Melbourne, right? So
Yeah, it's worldwide.
It
It's such a universal thing.
Concreting, construction,
Concrete. Yeah.
because you're not going to become a doctor.
No, definitely not.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be weird to see an Italian doctor. I've
Yeah.
never heard of an Italian doctor before.
Yeah, paging Luigi.
Yeah, this guy's fucking burrata is just in the
Yeah.
fridge, just waiting. Got
So-
bolognese waiting in the staff room.
Leave,
It's just weird.
leave the doctors to the Indians and the Chinese.
Chinese.
They're very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Can I tell you something about the Chinese?
And Persians too.
Chinese are very clear. I don't know, and you'll be able to tell me if this is in Canada too. The Chinese here are some of the smartest people. Half
Everywhere,
of them,
everywhere.
yeah, half of them became doctors, and the other half opened $2 shops.
Yeah.
Novelty $2 shops. And arguably, the ones that open the $2 shops make more money than the bloody doctors. Because when you walk into those $2 shops, you never spend just $2. You spend $2,000 at least buying absolute
$2,000.
rubbish. Just
Absolute
crap.
garbage you don't need.
There's just crap everywhere.
I know.
How do they even
That's why they're so
decide what crap to put up there?
You just gotta do what you
Yeah.
just do it.
Anyway, I've
Yeah,
sidetracked.
that's why. No, that's right. They're everywhere, and they're smart for doing that.
Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
right.
mean, there's so many of them. Like the percentages of them doing well
Yeah.
on that end is very high.
Yeah,
So it makes sense.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
yeah.
But in answer to your question, I think it all comes down to whether you can sustain a living out of it. Now, for example, if I couldn't sustain a living out of performing arts and entertainment, I've been very lucky to worked hard and done that. But if I couldn't, I think there would come a point where my mum and even my dad would have gone, I think it's a time you'll get a real job,
Right. Of course.
Because how are you going to live? But I managed to do it. And so
Right.
they're fine with it.
And what made you even get into all this stuff anyway? Like, what was your inspiration to getting into comedy
I have-
world,
you know,
everything, all that stuff?
I really can't pinpoint it to something particular. Obviously, I grew up with a family that was involved in the arts, which I've mentioned a few times already, with my father doing plays. So I enjoyed it from that perspective, and I enjoyed it in school. I always sort of seemed to land the lead roles in the school plays and the musicals and things like that. But there's some kind of love for entertaining people and seeing them enjoy themselves. You do it for the people. There's a buzz that you get from taking people on a journey or just giving them an escape, whether that be for 7 minutes or for 70 minutes. For people to come and go, hey, I laughed. Making people laugh is one of the hardest jobs in the world. People think it's easy, as you know. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world. And why is it hard? Because to make them genuinely laugh with people that do not know you, that do not owe you anything, that is one of the best feelings in the world that is you can't describe in words. You just
100%.
walk out on a high. That's why when we have a great gig and we come back home, we go, like, I don't know, are you like I can't fall asleep. I'm buzzing from
All
a
the time.
great gig.
Or a bad one too.
You
Equally.
buzz in a different way, don't you? Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all get bad gigs from
Yeah,
time
yeah.
to time.
Yeah.
When you have a great one,
Yeah, great one's the best.
yeah,
Best
that
feeling in the world.
adrenaline
Can't beat it.
stays with you for ages.
I know.
You
It's
know?
just constant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great job.
But even 100% I agree. But also when you do bad, it's actually more motivating to do it again, more and more, because you crave that good feeling.
Of course, yeah.
So
you're
it's
gonna
actually
work,
exciting when
so
you
you're
do
going to
bad.
work harder the next time, you know?
Like the last show we did together, like
Yeah.
I thought I tanked. It was whatever. I didn't like my set. I was like, I know I'm doing 4 sets tomorrow.
Yep.
And I'm gonna make it my point to at least kill one of them.
But that's
then
gr-
you go one by one, right?
That's great because we're only as good as our last
That's-
gig, as
exactly.
they
You're
say,
only-
right?
100%,
But
exactly.
that's great. Good on you. You have the right mentality for
Yeah,
that.
right.
Because there'd be other people that would get so freaked out
Yeah.
by bombing or by not doing a great
Right.
set, whatever
They would
whatever
dwell
it is,
on it.
and they dwell on it. So you take it for what it is.
Yeah.
We all have our flops from time to time, or sets that are not as strong as
Yeah.
what we thought they could be. So you take it. You got to use it as motivation. Because if it is what you want to do, then that's the only way you can use it.
Yeah.
You can't let it get to you.
Nope.
And as we discussed off camera, this job is very subjective. You know,
Big
what
time.
makes you laugh doesn't make me laugh, doesn't make the next person laugh, and then makes that guy laugh. You know, it's hard to, and it's a very vulnerable job because we are putting ourselves out there going, we think we are funny. We think we are funny.
Yeah. How dare you,
I hope
conceited fucks.
I hope you think we're funny because we think we're funny,
Yeah.
you know? So it's not a job for everybody.
Yeah.
You got to have a really thick skin.
And a thick set of hair on your back too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which apparently you don't have.
I don't have. So I have to have thick skin.
What about the... no, we've gone there already. The hairy ass. Italians are known for their
Oh
hairy
man,
asses.
yeah, Italians, yeah, that's
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I agree, man. It's having the thick skin to. That makes the difference between someone who's going to be a great entertainer or comedian and someone who will never
yeah.
make it. You have to like almost want it more every time.
Yeah,
do
you
that.
have that, correct. You got to have a thick skin, and yes, it is true that sometimes there are shitty audiences.
There are, right,
there
but-
are, but we cannot always blame our weak sets on the audience.
No, yeah.
Sometimes there comes a point where you kind of go, I didn't do as well. I should have got them.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
just didn't get them.
Yep.
And that's fine. It's part of the journey. It's
Yeah,
part of the
I agree
learning
with that.
process.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
It's not always the audience. Sometimes it is, but it's not always the audience.
When do you think it's the audience?
It is a good question, and I believe that sometimes it's the audience. An environment can play a big part in the concentration of an audience to your set.
Okay.
So I believe there are other factors that play a big part. When is it the audience? Wow.
Yeah.
You know, look, I think you got to take it for the variables that may exist. Like, for example, if it's a totally drunken crowd and they're
Right.
they're half tanked, you can't blame yourself if
Fully.
you're set fully
Right.
because they're just They're just going crazy. Like they're not listening. They're not even giving. If they're not giving you a chance,
True. Yeah, that's
then
fair.
what chance do you stand?
100%.
You need to be given a chance.
Yeah.
And that's when I think you can have a shitty audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you feel they have given you the chance and you still came off a bit weak,
It's on you.
Then maybe it's on you, you
Yeah.
know? But that
Yeah.
doesn't make you a shit comic.
No.
You just make it be, just got to work harder at
I
your
know.
material. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I agree with that. One thing to add to the bad audience is like if they are constantly heckling you too.
Yeah, but
Then
why,
it's like-
why are there audiences that heckle? Like, do some people go out to comedy shows just to try and put you off on purpose? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people like that, but
what,
also
what kick do they get out of that? I don't.
maybe. Well, that's the thing because I feel like they're, especially in places that don't have a culture for comedy.
Yeah.
Like here specifically, I've found that a lot in Australia. A lot of people don't understand stand-up show etiquette.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think
there
for,
is etiquette.
for
Yeah.
audience members,
Yeah.
stand-up show etiquette, which
Yeah.
I think is a real thing. Because compared back to back home but not even some places in Canada, they don't really know. But America is really good at this. Where you go to a comedy club, people know what they're getting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, for the most part, what I found from my experience and from just like listening to a bunch of other comedians around the
Sure.
world, I know that American audiences are way more primed for comedy than anywhere else in the world.
Right.
And so, maybe a lot of the rooms are much better or more, better laid out for a good comedy show.
I think environment is a big
Is
a big part.
But also like I was saying, stand up etiquette. I think a lot of audience members, even here or wherever, Canada or whatever, they just don't. They think they're adding to the show by heckling, but really they're kind of ruining the flow of the show, and they're kind of like. It's like, it's making your set choppy, and it's also distracting the other audience members who are there to laugh, who paid money to be there.
Yeah.
They're ruining their experience too.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is also a part of like an audience being shitty or
Not
ruining
best
the experience.
audience,
But at the same time, it is still our job to kind of group those people together and like calm down the situation. Right. Diffuse it. Right.
It's interesting you've found that observation, in your time here in Australia doing the clubs and stuff, because I mean we do a lot of stand-up comedy.
I know there is a lot.
There is a lot, and there's like every second cafe has comedy night.
I know.
Here.
I know.
You will have seen it, right? Whether that's amateur, open mic, professional, whatever the case is, and so really we should have better etiquette for stand-up comedy.
I agree.
With how much stand-up comedy there is.
Yeah.
And that's where I think some of the venues don't help the situation.
Right. Well, yeah, because one thing I'll add is in terms of an environment is I believe there is a difference in how the room is set up that makes a way better show. Right? Low ceilings, dim lights, spotlight on the one comedian, tight chairs, so people are like uncomfortable, so they have to kind of like, it just keeps them on their toes a little bit, right?
I agree.
They're not too comfortable where it's like relaxed. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I feel like that's the best environment for comedy, for stand-up comedy.
Absolutely. When I've done my own shows and I've booked like a not a comedy club, but just a club, and they've got function rooms.
Yeah.
I always have a huge meeting with them about how it needs to be set up for comedy, not how it's just set up for your dining
speech.
or your dinner dance kind of thing.
Yeah,
because no, I don't need a dance. Like if there's a stage, I don't need a dance floor. I want tables on the dance floor. I want them 1 meter away from the stage, nice and close. I don't want this
massive
I don't want to be
space gap.
Forget it. Forget it. You may as well not even come on.
Right.
So, like you said, it's important. It's important. The setup of the room is very important.
Yeah, but all this to say, it's obviously most of it's still on the comedian.
Oh, of course,
to provide the best experience for the audience, right?
That's right.
Because I've been there before. Where like I didn't really do it intuitively too much even when I was first starting, like blaming the audience ever.
Yeah.
But there were times where I would do it because I was bombing. I was like, oh, like what? Oh, you guys just don't like laughing, hey?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you guys?
I try not
like,
to on stage blame the audience.
Of
Off
course.
stage, I'm like, fuck this guy's a fuck,
Between comics is cool, like off stage, I guess it's like, what the fuck was that? But then like at the same time, even that I found like I've heard it a few times now, like even recently, where like a comic will come on stage and then like, oh, what the fuck was that? They were so weird.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they weren't that weird. They're just like, They're actually very attentive.
They're different.
But they just didn't really like you. So it's not on them, it's on you. But like that's the thing I've learned early on for me, but I see a lot of flaws in a lot of comedians is that like they don't recognize that sometimes it is on them. And they have to blame themselves.
It can be on
yeah.
And an audience not liking you don't, it's not necessarily an awful thing. It doesn't have to be traumatic for a comic.
Yeah.
We're not all liked by everybody.
You can't. It's impossible.
That's life.
It's
You know,
impossible.
that's life. The next audience will love you.
Right.
And
Literally.
this one just didn't
Literally.
warm to you. That's all it was.
I know.
That's it. That's
but there's
all it
also
is.
so many factors in that too, because like I said, like we're talking about not everyone's gonna like you. Even Dave Chappelle, people don't like him. So what the fuck do you have to talk about? Like, what are you talking about?
People are gonna go, what? I don't dig Dave Chappelle.
Sure,
I just, it's not my, it's just not my thing.
I understand it.
That's fine.
But I
Like,
personally don't agree because I really like him.
Yeah.
But I get why, or I actually, it's okay that you don't.
Of course it
prefer
is.
him because it's
all,
not your style.
all subjective. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what actually makes it much easier for me when I'm on stage. And if I bomb, like, sure, I didn't like bombing.
No, of course not. Of course
Because you want to make people laugh. But at the same time, like, you're only as good as your last set.
Yeah,
right? And every set is an opportunity to be better each time anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
And then and also like at a certain point you're like, you're gonna kill it eventually quickly after anyway. In the next couple of sets you'll probably do a good job anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's just about like kind of being more self-aware of that in the moment and then kind of closing the gap on how many times you do shit the bed.
Correct.
Right? Because you do get better over time.
Because if you're bombing or it's a weak set, but if that weak set is 1 in every 20,
it's fine.
That happens. That's
Right.
going to happen.
It's good probability,
It's going to happen.
Right.
Also, I think it's important to note that when we do, shows where we're just doing a spot and a lineup, I mean, they can be really hard because the people are getting a mixture of comics, a mixture of styles in one night.
True.
It's very different to when people are coming to see your show, just you. These are primarily your fans. You've already bought their love because they want to come and see you.
They're already primed for your humor.
You. They know your style.
Yeah.
They like your humor. That's why they're coming. Maybe there is a small percentage of people that are new, but the primary people know you already.
Right.
But when you go to a club,
completely random.
It's tough because you don't know what,
Yeah.
and they don't know what they're going to get.
True. That's a good point.
And it's hard to know how good or weak the person before or after you is going to be as well. You're just thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
And you're listening to other people's material. Sometimes you've had to change a moment before you've gone on because
100%.
someone's done your bloody joke. Or someone's done your theme. So you can't come on straight after doing the same theme because people just assume you've copied them or you're trying to copy them.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to hit home because they've just heard it.
Right. There's so many things.
So lineups are tough. I think they're tougher than doing your own show.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, when you're doing your own show, people are there for you. So it's different.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, though. But they're both equally fun, I think.
Oh yeah. No, they're definitely
for different
fun
reasons.
because we love performing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We love
that's
being on
the juice
stage.
right there. Is the love for the
we
performance.
love performing. That's what drives us to be on a mic in front of people performing.
And if you're not doing it for those reasons, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
100%.
So why else are you even doing these shows?
If you're not doing it for the love of it initially, and you're not doing it for the love of attempting to make the majority of people enjoy themselves, what are you doing it for?
And one more thing I wanted to add to that is that when the further I've gone into my career, I've realized when I am bombing, I'm way more attentive and more conscious about why it's happening.
Yeah.
By scanning the audience and looking at them.
Right.
Like actually looking at them. Because a lot of comics, like they'll look like they're looking into the audience.
Yeah.
But they're looking at the back wall.
Yeah.
Or they're looking at the corner fan or this pole.
Do you like to see people?
I look them dead in the eyes.
I actually like to see people.
I don't prefer it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it to be too like fucking bright.
I don't mean full house lights on, but if I'm
first few rows.
Few rows.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind seeing them.
I like that. Yeah, it's
I
fine.
connect better.
Right. Well, I like doing some crowd work too.
Yeah.
So I almost need to.
Yeah,
see
you
that.
need to see that.
And I do like it. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've noticed that sometimes when you think you're bombing, it's actually way not as bad as you think it is. Because
Yeah.
you might not be getting big laughs, but what if these people are not big laughers?
True.
But they're very attentive.
True. Very true.
So that already
Yeah.
is not really you bombing. It's just they're just not
No,
big
it's
laughers
still-
because
it's-
they're
yeah.
actually when you look out,
Yeah.
most of them are like they're nodding along. They're smiling. They're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
okay, that's pretty funny. Like,
Yeah.
And the same with me, because I'm like, sometimes I hear people, I'm like, oh man, that's fucking hilarious, but
Yeah.
I'm not like howling.
Not getting big laughs doesn't always equal.
It doesn't equal, yeah.
You know,
exactly.
like
Right.
full bombing or anything
Right.
like that. They could be just a different audience that
Yeah,
laugh less.
exactly.
They like to
For
hear
sure.
more.
Yeah.
They want, they don't laugh as easy. They don't give charity laughs.
True.
They want to hear something
is fair.
strong, a punchline.
Yeah, yeah.
Some audiences are just ready to just piss themselves.
Right.
At
course.
everything you say, at everything you do. Others are more.
Yeah,
you
more
know,
reserved,
I want to
yeah.
hear the punchline.
Yeah.
I want to listen to the setup.
For sure. What's one of your biggest pet peeves when you're doing a set on stage?
Biggest pet peeves. Oh, okay. If it's like a club where they serve like drinks and stuff, I can't stand when they're in like people like getting served in the front row like while I'm on stage.
While you're doing your joke.
Yeah, you've lost them all. Like you've lost the whole front area. Like they just, table service, working with table service. We call it table service.
Yeah,
here,
same
right?
thing, yeah.
Like while you're doing a set, especially like in the front, it's just like you're doing your joke. You got the front. You got someone taking orders.
It's distracting.
Oh, it's distracting for them. For me, that's I hate that.
Yeah, and then they're talking like, yeah, can I get a plate of nachos?
You're in your punchline, and I'm like,
Chicken fingers?
2 beers.
Yeah.
Like, mate, I'm working here. Like, I'm trying to perform. You know, like,
yeah.
it's so rude.
Yeah.
But
Can I have the jalapeno bite?
Yeah.
This guy's trying to do a punchline about his fucking,
Yeah.
nonna doing some shit.
that's right.
Can I have jalapeno poppers? How much is a combo? It's like fucking yelling in the front.
Yeah. and so I usually just wait and go, yeah, I'll have one too.
Yeah,
Order me one
Right.
as well. Yeah. But
Yeah.
they can destroy your moment.
It kind of disrupts the flow a little bit. Yeah. I
So
get
that's
it.
one
Okay.
pet peeve.
Yeah.
One pet peeve that happens.
Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you one of mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
Go
I
for it.
despise.
Yeah.
Is I'm on stage, and this happened to me last week when I was in Adelaide. I was doing the Fringe Festival. It was just like a show, just one of the lineup shows.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the show, I was last. From the beginning of the show, this particular woman
Yeah.
would just not stop, like talking during people's sets.
Well, that's just yeah.
But like not just like regular like
Yeah.
talking like whispering to their friend.
Yeah.
By the time I came on, literally, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
She talked at me like out loud
Yeah.
more than I got laughs during my set.
Was she drunk?
No, completely sober.
So there comes the etiquette part.
Well,
that we
that-
were talking
that too.
about, right?
But for me, it's a pet peeve because I'm like, well, let me at least get through the joke.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
But like, I'm in the middle of saying a sentence, and then she says, "Oh, I don't understand the logic of that." She literally said that. But like, she didn't let me finish the thing. I'm like, bro, let me get to it.
Did anyone turn on her? Like tell her to shut up?
You could tell people were looking like, all right, who is this fucking lady? Please shut her up. Even like, everyone else, even audience members were like, bro, who the fuck is this woman? But
Did the other comics have a go at her to
no
put
one really called it out. I actually did because
Yeah,
like I'm
maybe
I'm
they
not
should
afraid of it.
Maybe
Like,
they should have called it out. A few
well, yeah,
of them
but
earlier.
that's the thing too. Is like also sometimes it's up to the first comedian, the MC or whoever it is,
to knock it on the head.
knock it right away.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it doesn't
straight
happen
away.
the rest of the show. So that's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
part of it.
She got
That
too
should
much
be on the-
confidence.
too much confidence, and she was a major feminist. So usually they have the most confidence. She literally came up to me afterwards. She's like, you know what? I'm a big humanitarian, and I hate misogynistic. Was it
Chauvinistic.
no, chauvinistic, yeah. She said, I really don't like misogyny and chauvinism. I'm like, brother, did I ask? And then she's just like, she's
should've-
one of those people,
You
right?
should have
It's
just
like-
gone with, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, literally. But anyway, she would interrupt me.
So she's a person who doesn't belong at a comedy show.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just my pet peeve that annoys me. But at the same time,
anyone talking.
it's like someone's got to teach her, right? At some point, someone's got to teach her how to be an
But
audience member too.
At this point, I would say that even the venue management, I don't know where this was, but the venue management should intervene.
Well, it
here
wasn't
as
a
well.
comedy club. That's the thing. That's the problem with
Okay.
not doing comedy shows in a proper setting where it's made for comedy.
Yeah, right.
Is that like some of these fringe shows are in like a backyard.
Yeah,
They're in a
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
storage tank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, This is never where you do
there's
comedy.
no management.
No, there's
Yeah.
just like it's a self-produced, self-run
by
the comics themselves.
Yeah.
And if they don't have anyone at the front or before the show to tell them the
know.
rules, that's why it's so clutch having him, because when we do our tour shows, like he's at the front. Like how many times, like every single show, you have to go through a set of rules. Like he's teaching people how to play laser tag. He's like, there's like 9 set of rules, guys. Number one, like turn your phones off, right? Because we don't want filming.
Yeah.
Number 2, like please keep the chatter to a minimum. If you have to talk, at least whisper it and don't be disruptive to the audience members. You know what I'm saying? Like a bunch of rules, right? But that actually goes a long way. It sets the people up for a optimal show.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Not just for me, but for other audience members, right? And it has worked. The success rate's been great because really every single time we've had a show, there hasn't been really any problems where like, we'd had to deal with it.
But you're right. We have a lot of people here that don't understand etiquette. Stand-up comedy audience etiquette. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one is like front row. You're in the middle of your set. Guy just stands up, goes to get a drink, and then comes back. Now, I'm not saying like, I know you're thirsty, mate, right? But we're probably going to have a break soon. Like, there's breaks in
right,
there,
but that's the thing.
Like, why do you have to get up in the front row? And then just comes back with 4 beers, sits down like nothing's happened.
Right.
But what you mate don't realize is that you've made me feel like I'm not important to you at all. For you to get up during my set, that's telling me I'm not connecting with you.
True.
You're happy to get up and go and get your drinks, come back as if.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's different for you guys because in Australia, the shows here are run way differently than back home in Canada and North America.
I bet they are, yeah.
We don't have breaks back home.
Yeah.
You guys have 3 breaks. I'm like,
because
what the fuck is
the
this?
bar's important.
Yeah, because you guys don't do service in shows here.
No, not everywhere. Sometimes they do.
Right, but you still have breaks.
And
right?
We do both. That's right.
Intermission. We never do that back home in Canada and in America, especially not in America.
What about with drinks? You got to get them prior?
No. Well, you do. You can get it prior, but there's servers who come constantly.
Okay.
So that is a common thing back home.
Okay.
So drive you nuts back home.
It would if it's right up the front.
Well, but that's the thing. Like sometimes they are.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
But you have to get used to it. You have to like. For me, it actually doesn't affect me as much.
I am getting used to it.
Yeah, of course.
In the beginnings, I was like,
right.
Me,
it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural
I'm right
thing.
here, man. You have to,
yeah. But you get used to it. You over time. You're like, all right, man. Well, it's just a part of the show. Like,
what I do is I divert my attention to the area that doesn't have that going on.
Yeah, sure.
So let's say it's in the front. There's one person there taking orders. I'll just just skew my attention a little bit.
Well, it's up to you. It's up to the comedian to kind of like almost divert the attention from this to you.
Yeah, again. So bring it back.
Like you almost have to like up your performance even more.
Yeah, because this is distraction.
Because it's like a little bit of distraction. Because other people can be distracted too.
Well, that's exactly what happens. Is they get distracted.
Yeah.
And then what it does is it makes other people want to order.
Right.
Well.
Yeah. It's like
while you're here, I'll grab a drink as well. You know. So you start to lose that area. Yeah.
And the humans in general are very easily distracted. I think very sensory. If there's a sensory overload.
And again, that's why setting the environment up as best as possible for a stand-up comic is important because we are so distracted.
Yeah. But overall, I guess to wrap up this whole thing is like, either way, no matter what the room is like, whoever's in the audience,
yes.
At the end of the day, it's on us as comedians.
Yes.
To provide the best possible experience for anyone who's there.
I agree.
And that's it. And that's the best way, in my opinion, to look at it.
We're the performer, and we've got to ride the battles that come our way in terms of distraction or settings or whatever. If that's your profession, then you have to find a way to make it work.
Yeah. And that's what's going to make you a better comic.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Ultimately.
Agreed.
Did you, when you were doing comedy, were your parents super supportive? Like, did they ever come to shows or anything like that?
They come to some shows. I don't want them to come to too many shows because I'm basically ridiculing them. So,
you think they would be like annoyed by it, or?
The thing is, right? My mum, I'll make jokes about Italian mums and stuff, and I'll center it as my mum. My mum this, my mum that.
Yeah.
My mum's the first to get up in the audience and go, "I don't do that,"
Yeah. Right.
Her accent is not as thick as my father's was.
Okay.
But
would she actually do that? Do you think?
She would with her if she brought her friends. She'd go, "I don't do that." I'm like, "Shut up, mum! It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's a relatable joke, you know." So they've come to some shows.
Nice. Right. And
Not all of them, no.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with me. I'm just curious because I know a lot of like.
I've got to give them freebies. There's too many freebies.
I know, too many. Yeah. Pay for it like everyone else.
Yeah, pay for your
Yeah. How do you expect me to make money
No,
if you're
I
gonna
don't
get
think
free
you get my family in there
tickets?
for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you
exactly.
talking about?
What's going on?
Yeah. Because usually a lot of immigrant parents too. It's like they don't speak English very well.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Then it's hard to bring them to the shows. Like my mom's only
Yeah.
seen me like a few times.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really understand like my comedy because
The
it's so
other
like
stuff. Yeah.
so much English speaking.
But she's become a big part of your
Yeah,
your
but
videos
she's
too.
obviously people
Yeah,
love her like on my
Yeah,
videos
yeah.
and everything, and like
That's right.
she understands some stuff. If I do like certain accents and stuff, she laughs, she loves it. You know
She
what I'm
must
saying?
be such a good sport.
She is.
Yeah,
like, she's great.
The videos you do where you know the ones where you're dancing.
Yeah,
for
that
her?
stupid dance Fridays.
That's incredible.
They're the best.
That's a pisser.
Yeah,
That's
she's a
incredible.
gem. I mean, and that's one of the crowd favorites, man. Like as the dance videos with my mom, but like any mom, really. Like, if you do anything with a parent, bro, it's the most relatable, most wholesome type of video ever.
And it's very whether you're a comic or not, it's very trendy at the moment to involve your family in videos.
Sure.
A lot of influencers do that as well.
Kids,
grandparents, that
everything.
sort of stuff.
So
and it's kind of an in thing to do.
Yeah. But like, you know, that's the one thing I feel will never die out is content like that.
Yeah.
Because people are always going to be recreating life, right? And people are always going to have families.
Yeah.
So you can always make jokes about that.
Family is always a great topic.
It's I'd make the argument it's like one of the best things to joke about.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the most, it could reach the most people.
Yeah.
And it's the most
and also
relatable.
we will always find other people that relate to how one grew up or how other family members are behaving. There's always someone out there with the same, going through the same thing.
I know.
You
And
know?
it almost makes you feel good inside when you hear other people talk about their experience with their moms or their dads or their kids or or cousins or brothers, right? Because you're like, oh man, like, so it's not just me.
No, that's right.
Oh, it makes you feel a part of something.
We find each other through comedy, don't we?
Yeah.
Through being able to have a laugh.
I know.
About those things.
I gotta say, that's one of my favorite things about doing comedy, is really relishing and feeling a part of a community.
Yeah.
Of like other people who see things the same way I do.
Yep.
And experience the same things or similar things that I do. It feels great, you know?
It does. That's part of the buzz of doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe not everyone can express them in the way a comic can express them and add that twist of humor to it. So when that person goes, oh, I think about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. But that's not their job. That's not what they do to express it in a humorous way.
Mm.
But it gives them a different point of view of that topic.
Right. How do you write your jokes? What's your process?
Pen?
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 Fucking pen?
I use a pen.
Pen?
How do I write my jokes? You talking about how they come up for me, or what technique do I use?
From the beginning, what's like the first initial idea? How do you write it down, and then how do you hash it out and then perform it?
Sometimes I feel like the gag comes up before the setup.
What do you mean?
So the punchline is the first thing that comes to mind.
Right.
Like, oh, that's funny, but how do I get to that now? So like work backwards.
Okay.
Basically, sometimes.
Yeah.
So something might happen and you might go, oh, that's a funny moment, but I can't just say that moment on stage without giving it context. So then you start to write the story to it or the journey to get to that punchline.
Yeah.
These days, I utilize notes a lot to write just the essence of the gag. Then I'll go back and I'll flesh it out as a fully worded script. But then I'll go and start trimming, and going back and trim because there'll be a lot of
fat.
Yeah, a lot of fat there. Yeah, a lot of just stuff that's going to waste time.
Right.
Because as you know, you've got to get to the gag quick.
Right.
I mean, unless it's a great setup.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Unless it's a great setup. You got to get to the gag quick, because I was taught as well that if you don't get to the gag quick, people are clever. They start to work out what the gag is in their head.
Yeah.
And once they've worked out the punchline in their head, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's when you don't get the laugh. So you got to get to the punchline quick.
Right. Yeah, trim
Unless
fat.
the setup is really magnificent,
Really-
right?
right.
And sometimes you have a magnificent story.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes no, it's just the punchline that's
Yeah.
good, but you got to get to it quick.
I wish I could trim
Yeah.
fat as much as I can trim fat on jokes as quick.
Mate, like you said, got to keep working at it, right? But yeah, you surprise yourself how much stuff you don't need to say.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I was just talking about
And
yeah.
just keep trimming words and trimming words and then moving words
Swapping
around.
them.
People don't understand the complexity of why a joke works when
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
You understand it because you
I
do
do,
comedy,
yeah.
right? But a lot of people out there
Yeah.
don't understand
like
why.
how would how would you explain that to someone like the complexity of like,
it is a hard one to
Yeah.
explain. Like, I mean, you know, you take a gag and sometimes it's just the movement of one word.
yeah.
And then, of course, delivery has its
Right.
own thing.
Timing,
but the timing,
presence,
and right?
eye
And all
contact.
the acting of the joke,
Yeah.
right? But the movement of certain words can make or break a joke.
Yeah.
Some inexperienced comics, or comics that are starting out, when you hear their sets, you hear that there's potential there, but they haven't learned structure yet.
Yeah.
And the structure is not there because they're kind of giving away the punchline like before they get to it.
yeah.
And you got to be careful of that. Like
Yeah.
you're saying too much. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
You're saying too much. We've worked it out. We know where this is going. We know where the twist is going to be.
Yeah.
So the twist obviously needs to happen without us knowing
Yeah.
it's going to. It's misdirection. Everything's
Everything's
misdirection, right?
Yeah.
You take them in one way and then bang, you're taking them the other way where they didn't think. Not every gag is misdirection,
No.
of course.
Sometimes
but it's a common formula
Yeah.
is misdirection.
right.
Much like a magician.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing.
Magic isn't real. It's not that real.
Comedy's not
It's
real
not, it's
either.
not real. It's
Comedy's-
misdirection. It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
It's a wordy illusion.
That's true because actually comedy is actually an illusion too. That's what, at least that's the way I see it. Because what I mean by that is when you're doing comedy, you make the audience feel like you're coming up with this shit on the spot.
oh, of course.
That's what makes a great comedian.
It's got to come up as if you're having a chat, right?
But they don't know.
No.
We've been writing this shit and
Oh, yeah.
performing it hundreds of times.
And that's all in the delivery.
yeah. It's
That's
all in the
that's
delivery.
all in the delivery.
Yeah, being comfortable on stage.
And that takes practice. And it takes
reps.
it takes time and
stage time.
stage time.
Literally stage time.
Takes time.
Getting
It
up
takes
on
stage
stage
time.
as
Yeah.
much as possible. I've
Yeah.
really heavily experienced that for myself this past
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
Doing all the fringe festivals,
Yeah.
bro.
And how many? I saw you put up
Yeah, yeah.
online. You've already done like 100 and something
I
spots.
counted. It's pretty much roughly that number, but yeah, it's like 107 sets I've
incredible.
done in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's more than I've done in the past year and
Yeah.
a bit of
That's
stand-up.
incredible.
But that's what that takes, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's only
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I've been only doing like 3-4 jokes.
Yeah, yeah.
But like the progression from the beginning till now is
Yeah.
like, that's how you get shit to get better faster.
Of course.
By getting up as much as you can.
Because you're practicing constantly.
That's it.
Yeah, you can't be doing stand up and only doing it 3 times a year.
No.
You're not
How
gonna,
the
you're
hell
not
are
gonna,
you-
you're not gonna get better.
Never.
You know, and you need small audiences, you need big audiences,
Everything.
you need the tough rooms, you need the good
Yep.
rooms.
Yep.
You need them all. You
Yeah.
need every experience. It's a bit like learning to drive. A good driver probably learned to drive in all different conditions, right?
True. Good point.
That's how you learn. You learn in traffic. You learn in the wet. You learn when
Yep.
the sun, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You got to learn. That's how you become a better driver.
Yeah. Drive in India and Asia. Come back here. You'll drive like
Yeah,
a king.
that's right. That's
You-
right.
you
Even
drive-
Europe, even Italy.
Italy.
Oh,
Is bad over there?
crazy. Oh yeah,
Really?
crazy.
People don't know how to
But
drive?
funnily enough, I'd never see an accident there. I'm sure they happen, but I'd never
Yeah,
see one.
yeah,
Here you see them all the time.
Really? Yeah. I didn't see it.
I'm a driver. You're not driving. I'm on the roads.
Oh, right,
But you're
yeah.
not driving.
No, we don't drive here, but yeah.
Yeah. Here, I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
do
not
you-
not necessarily nasty accidents all the time.
Yeah, of
but
course,
just
of course.
accidents.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah,
Interesting.
the stage time is really important, and just learning the formula of constructing a gag and constructing
Yeah, yeah.
a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are different ways, of course. And,
And-
then delivery. Look, see, here's the thing, Neema. Some people can write a great joke, but can't deliver it, and they
And
become,
vice versa, too.
and they become writers instead
Right.
for other people
Yeah.
because they're great writers,
Right.
great joke
But you
writers,
can't
but
perform.
they're not performers.
I know.
But you got to have a bit of everything, right?
I know. Yeah.
So-
But I think if you already naturally are better at performing, you can develop a better
You
writing
can
skill.
learn more writing
But
skills.
you can't say the same for vice versa.
No, probably not. No.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
it
tend to
could
agree.
eventually, but like not as much as the
it
other
takes
way around.
it takes time.
Yeah, that's why I'm grateful, and it's the same thing for you, I'm sure, because you have a very good stage presence on stage. Like when I first saw you a few weeks ago, it reminds me of myself too, because I feel like I'm way more of a performer than I'm a writer.
Yeah,
and I don't know
yeah.
how it is for you, but you're definitely like a performer. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So-
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm primarily a performer before a writer.
Right.
But I write for myself, as you write for yourself,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But I probably wouldn't consider myself a writer to go
Like a
out there
traditional
writing
writer.
for
That's
other
what I'm saying.
people. Yeah, correct.
because
Yeah.
you understand your talents and like your abilities to perform on stage and like use your body and physicality, right?
Yeah, sure.
Which gets you pretty far with your comedy.
Sure.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
No,
I think it's
because
great.
you use what's strongest to you.
Yeah. And then that's when you're being true to yourself, and that's what's gonna heavily rub off onto the audience, and they're gonna see that because I think
Yeah.
humans aren't dumb either.
Yeah.
They can see they can sense the energy if you're being fake or not.
Oh yeah. 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
They can smell it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and that's why stand up is such a vulnerable thing. Where I mean, they can smell fear and nervousness
Yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah,
You know,
for sure.
And that,
Easily.
when you're starting out, of course, that happens.
Yeah, it's natural,
And
yeah.
again, takes time.
Takes
the
time.
more stage time you do,
Yeah.
the more relaxed you get on stage.
Yeah.
And then when you do have a weak spot or a weak set,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect you as much because you can still have delivered confidently
Right.
and still had a weak set.
True. Exactly.
But at least the people go,
Oh.
I didn't gravitate to the
Right.
humor,
But
but I can recognize that this comic has done a lot,
Yeah.
has done a lot of experience
sure.
before.
I think that's something I learned from what's his name? Yo, what's Russell Peters' opener?
That's you.
Lachlan. Yeah. Lachlan Patterson.
Yeah.
He's a comic from somewhere in the US.
Yeah.
But he opens for Russell. He's opening for Russell like pretty much most of his last tour.
Right.
And that when I opened for Russell one of the couple of nights, I was asking him. I was like, "Yo, what's your advice on like doing a show this big, and like what jokes do I do, right? Whatever." And he's like, "Man, honestly, you're overthinking it. It doesn't matter what you do. Just do whatever you think is funny and sell that joke like it's the best joke they've ever heard."
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've kind of had that in the back of my head. And I don't know if you see it that way, but it's a really good way that I've learned to see it.
Well, selling a joke is just about knowing your material well, being confident.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, absolutely, you got to sell a joke. I mean, I always think it's got to genuinely make you laugh to potentially make them laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're half baked about a joke,
yeah.
it's probably there's a good chance that's the response you're going to get.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that theory doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's got to make you really laugh.
100%.
You've got to believe in it, right?
gotta
You've got to
believe
believe
in
in
it.
this
Yeah.
material in the joke.
Yeah.
If you kind of go, oh yeah, I believe in that one. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Even if you're just trying it out, you still got to
True.
try it out with confidence. You
Yeah.
still got to try it out for the first time,
Yeah.
believing that this is funny.
Yeah.
You'll soon find out if it is or
100%.
isn't. But
Because if you don't believe in it, then they're not going to
Correct.
believe
If you don't believe in it, you're not going to deliver it.
Yeah.
With
Facts.
belief, because in the back of your mind, you're in two minds about the
it.
joke.
I know. Yeah.
So sometimes, like, you come up with something and go, I could be funny, it could be not. I probably wouldn't risk it because it's not exciting me, that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
gag.
How often do you write?
Look, I don't have sort of a set time limit through the week that I
Yeah.
will dedicate to writing.
Yeah.
But I think as comics, we're constantly writing because things pop into our heads all the time.
Right.
Now, if we're writing if we're writing a new show, then we might dedicate a schedule to writing, to keep us on track. But I'd say throughout the week, even on a daily basis, I'm coming up with a concept or an idea that I might want to explore, and I can. If I've got the time, I'll flesh it out.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll just write the note about
Okay.
it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I'm not sort of sitting there going, I'm going to dedicate
Right.
2 hours today to writing.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that? You just.
I honestly, time.
Yeah?
I manage myself as well.
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
It's
It's a lot of
very
work.
difficult
Yeah.
to find time.
Yeah.
But I find that it just suits me to
Yeah.
come up with the concepts, and then when I've got a gig coming up,
Right.
I'll do what I do, and then I'll see if I want to add in.
Yeah.
I want to try a new gag, and then I'll
Right.
work on that.
So you don't have a manager or anything?
No, I mean, I have an agent for TV work, which I've
Yeah.
had since I was a child.
Yeah,
But that's just for TV work.
Oh, okay. But not like for your
No,
comedy,
for
like
all
no
the
one's
others,
there to
I
help
manage
you
myself. All the tours I do myself.
Why?
and
Is it
everything.
because you haven't found someone, or you just it's
It's
hard to
because
trust?
I'm Italian. I'm a tight ass. We won't pay anyone else. No, it's not about trust. It's
So Italian.
So Italian. No, it's not about trust at all. It's just it's
a pride thing.
It's a budget thing. It is I mean, I'm not that I'm being a tight ass, but
Yeah, I get it.
you got to
I
look
know.
at the budget that you have
Yeah.
because
I know.
to employ someone to manage
Right.
you and do that level of work, it's not cheap.
I get it.
It's a big job.
100%.
So I tend to do it all myself.
Right.
Also, maybe when I'm doing my own shows, I'm probably a bit of a control freak.
In what way?
I just want to have a handle on
Everything.
every aspect of it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do you think that gets in the way of your art?
Not too much.
Why?
I just know my art is one thing, like the show creatively is one thing,
Yeah.
and the business side is another thing.
Okay.
Like I just the two don't
They don't mix.
they don't really affect each
Okay.
other that much.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think part of me loves the business side too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're a bit- would you
I kind
say
of enjoy
consider-
it. I kind of enjoy doing the contracts and negotiating.
Really?
And,
I fucking hate that
yeah,
shit.
no, and I believe it. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
That's why I'm so
Yeah,
glad
it's
to
a lot
have
of
my
work,
brother
but-
working with
yeah,
me because
yeah.
like
Oh,
without
100%.
having him, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know what the fuck I do.
Yeah, no, I negotiate all my own stuff.
Wow.
I
Good
hire
for you,
my
man.
own venues.
Shit.
I do my own promo. I book all the promo in. And
It's exhausting.
no, it
my
is.
man.
No,
Fuck.
100%.
I know. I
It is
feel for you, man.
exhausting. Yeah.
But
But-
good for you, man. Honestly,
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing that.
But like most people, a good percentage of all the comics in the comedy festival, you'll find that they're their
Yeah.
own manager as well.
Yeah, I know.
They
I know.
don't have.
It's a common thing.
yeah.
Were you close with your dad?
Oh yeah, we were fairly close. I mean, when you grow up in a kind of strictish household, it fluctuates where the times in your life where you're closer and the times in your life where you're not as close. I was closer to my father as an adult, I would say, in my later years. I got closer. My father then got sick, and I kind of looked after him.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't living with him, but I was his primary carer in that respect.
Yeah.
So we got closer, and I think that's a common thing that when your parents, if they're unlucky, later in life to suffer an illness,
Yeah.
you do get closer to them.
For sure.
Because they once looked after you, and there's a full circle
Yeah.
there, and you look after them. So
Right.
It's a circle of life, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But growing up, I was close with him mainly because we together with the
played.
shows
Yeah.
did the shows together.
Yeah.
But there were other elements where I wasn't close because he was a strict father. Very common. I wasn't allowed to have friends over, and I couldn't go to other people's houses. I couldn't have sleepovers. And my brother had the same. My sister probably had it worse.
Or are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is your sister the youngest?
Yeah.
Oh, so she had like a tough time.
Oh well, it wasn't easy. Yeah, it wasn't easy.
They were like
because
really
she was the only girl.
and they were super overprotective for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it was one of those family environments.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, I'm not saying it was a shit childhood.
No, of course. It's
But
just,
I mean, some of my cousins had it the same.
Yeah.
As well,
Right.
I wasn't allowed to my first few school camps. That's a common
Yeah,
one.
that's a classic
Ethnic
one.
parents do not
Overnight
send their
for
kid-
sure you're not doing
no,
that.
and
Yeah.
our camps were like 3-4 days.
Oh, yeah,
So
no way.
yeah, so the first few ones I was in loud, and when you're a child or a teenager, those things do affect you because most of the other kids are going, So it's embarrassing.
It's very
But
embarrassing.
yet, I've made a career out of these stories. And if I didn't have these stories, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have a career.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So I made a
because
career
It's
out of it.
created all these core memories for you.
Yeah,
To,
which
to
have
turn
become-
it into jokes.
Correct.
Which is
Yeah.
no, not a lot of people can say that.
And shows and
Yeah.
memories and things.
Yeah, and literally a living.
Yeah. And as long as you can, as long as it hasn't traumatized you, and you can, you can
It's
go
a little
back
traumatizing.
with- Yeah, it is. It is, but it's not that level of trauma.
No,
we can still laugh about
Yeah.
it. So I feel like if you can still laugh about it,
Yeah.
I'm glad I had those experiences.
Yeah.
They
It
were
molded
tough at
you.
the time, but they're good now.
It molded you into who you are now.
Yeah.
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 So would
Absolutely.
you say you're happy with your upbringing?
Overall, yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. Overall, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. in the grand scheme of things, those items have not created a bad life for me.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
discipline isn't a bad thing. It teaches you respect.
Yeah.
For yourself and for others.
Kindness. Yeah.
You know, and it's something that the young generation now are lacking.
Lacking
a lot.
hard.
And you know you're old when you can say that.
I know. I get pissed when I
Yeah.
see kids.
Oh.
I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Mate, you know, there's things that they do.
Yeah.
It's like out of control.
I know.
And I don't know how anyone can fix it, to be honest.
All right. Would you say you cherished your parents growing up and near the end, obviously with your
Yeah,
dad?
I mean, I definitely, you know, I have a lot of respect
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
Even cherishing, you know, even just using that term, I think that can fluctuate a lot as well, depending on the experiences
Yeah.
that you have with them. You know,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, my mum and I were very close, but me and my dad, we fought a lot
Yeah.
through my teenagehood.
Of course. That's a lot of people.
You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes there were big fights,
Right.
and they're not pleasant memories, the big fights.
Of course. Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was okay.
Would you say that you have any like regrets from, you know, your childhood? Some things you wish you did, or like maybe hung out with, or talked to your parents more, or something like that?
No, not really. Not regrets.
Yeah.
I feel I connected with. My mum's still with me, so
Yeah, that's
you
good.
know. But like speaking about my dad, I feel like I connected with him as much as the universe allowed me to connect with him. Like I did as much as was possible. As much as he put effort in, that's the effort I put.
Right.
I reciprocated what he gave
Right.
as well.
Okay.
So if he gave 20%,
You gave
he was going to get 20%
right.
from me.
It's hard to go over. Yeah.
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 If he had given me 100% at times, it makes you want to give 100%
Yeah.
back. You know?
Yeah. No, that's good, man. So I guess I wanted to lead into the next question about, because you said how without all these memories
Yeah.
and all these experiences as a kid,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to do this career right now, right? So
I think I wouldn't have that side of the
right.
career. Yeah. Yeah.
But my question is, what would you do if you weren't doing comedy?
I'd be a pilot.
Why?
I have no idea. I love flying.
Really?
Yeah. Like
You're not scared of
I like.
flying?
No, I love flying. I love being in the air on a plane. I love flying. I love the
Turbulence?
experience. Yeah, I love turbulence.
Fucking hate it.
I mean, I don't not like nasty, not like real bad, but I like. See the people
Joe
next
actually
to me.
hates
They're
it.
like,
Oh yeah.
I'm the one going, yeah.
Oh, you're fucked. Yeah.
Does he like it or not like it?
I hate it. Turbulence. Oh, Ashley hates it, but I also hate it. I don't like turbulence.
No,
at
it
all.
doesn't. It doesn't scare me too much. Turbulence. I've had some nasty turbulence like that. Bumpiness is okay. The bad one is when the plane completely drops.
Bro, that shit.
Yeah,
oh my
where it drops
God, dude.
altitude quickly. That can be scary. But I'm not as fearful as the people.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I have had a person next to me start doing the
Oh
sign.
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it too. Yeah.
And I don't disrespect that at all. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Like,
Right. I get it.
I'm a person of faith to
Of
a
course.
degree as well. I'm not,
Right.
You know, people are scared. Like,
I know.
You know,
Bro, even for me, I still.
I've had someone do it the rosary. They were doing the
Oh,
rosary
yeah?
beads.
The rosary
yeah, that was
class.
recent on a plane recently.
Oh, that's funny.
Across from me, she was doing the rosary beads. She was doing the whole bloody rosary. I'm like, Jesus, that's full on.
Wow. Yeah, but still, it's like.
Yeah, but I think we are afraid of anything that we're not in control of. Too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Because humans
So-
like being in control,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
like
yeah.
knowing.
that's
what
why I
they're getting
manage
into.
myself because I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, but turbulence is really just like a boat going over waves. You
Yeah,
wouldn't
but-
be afraid
yeah,
of that.
but-
This is
Yeah?
the same thing. This is just waves of
Nah,
air.
bro.
It's little pockets of
is.
air.
It
That's all
is.
that is.
It is.
No,
It's-
boats
it's-
still sink.
I'm not. Okay, that's
It's
because there's a
crash
hole
with
in
the
it.
No,
waves.
it is. It's
Yeah.
well, it's crashing through clouds and air, and
it's
that's what's
ju-
causing
yeah.
the
Yeah,
bumpiness.
It's just like going through air
But
waves.
I understand that your human body
Right,
is an
you're not
out of
used
body
to it.
like it's already an out of body experience being up there.
I know.
Let alone
Literally.
being up there and feeling like this whole thing
Shaking.
is yeah.
Well, then a good analogy I actually saw on TikTok was this girl was explaining turbulence, and she was comparing it to being in the middle of Jello.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's shaking,
Yeah.
but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because Jello's like it shakes, but it's just like it's
Right,
it's
okay.
like
Yeah, I get
it's
that.
there.
Yeah.
It's not like fucking swinging.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I get that.
That's what the turbulence is. And,
And
like
that-
when I learned that, I was like, okay, like it's a little bit easier now.
And that's why there's turbulence, and then there's like the drop.
Drops. That's
The drop,
different.
yeah,
That's different.
because that gives your body
Oh my
the
God.
fear that
Right, you're dropping.
we're dropping.
Roller coaster.
We're dropping. You know.
Yeah. For me, you know, I get nervous. I'm like, how the fuck is this massive plane going this fast? I get the most nervous when we're landing because I'm like, man, when you look at it going
Yeah.
down, I'm like, bro, you're going like 1,000 kilometers an
Yeah,
hour,
yeah, it's
and you're
quick.
about to hit
I
the
know,
ground.
I know.
If that was a car, you could go flying. I'm like, how the fuck are they landing this?
One of the most amazing technology
yeah,
pieces
I know.
in the history of the world, I think,
trips me out, man.
is the plane, and you know those jumbo planes. Like I always go,
Cargo.
how does this thing actually take off? Like
I don't know.
It must weigh an incredible, like,
Yeah.
but it's all with the wind and the,
Yeah,
the
physics
engine and all
and
that,
that-
right? So I understand, but you still go, how is this thing in the air for 16 hours?
Yeah.
Double decker,
Baffles
jumbo. What the hell?
See, this is why we're comedians and not doing that.
Oh no, and I also can't do it because I'm not very good at maths, and you need
There
a
you
high
go.
level of mathematical
Exactly.
skills to be a pilot.
And we
but
are not.
I'd love to fly a plane. Yeah.
Well, maybe one day, man. You get there, bro.
One day, I give up comedy.
Yeah. I guess, man, to wrap up the episode, I'd
Yeah.
like to know who are your favorite comedians and why.
Oh wow, it's always a big question, isn't it?
No, not really.
There's just so many. There's so many. You know.
Well, I mean, maybe pick a couple, or who is your favorite comedian and why?
Well, look, I'll tell you something. I'll stick with Australian because I grew up with a lot of
Yeah,
Australian
okay, yeah,
comedians.
go ahead.
However, if I had to just ramble off a few names,
Yeah.
internationally, Michael McIntyre.
Never heard of him.
Ever heard of Michael McIntyre?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
In England?
No.
Michael McIntyre?
No, never.
He's quite big.
Really?
He's huge. Okay.
Well, I'll look him up after. I will,
Look him
yeah,
up later.
yeah.
Michael
I'll check him
McIntyre.
out.
I'm going to see Jerry Seinfeld
Oh,
when
nice.
he comes down.
Okay, you like
Now,
Jerry?
I do like Jerry, but I don't like Seinfeld, the show.
Really?
Yeah, I like
Don't tell him.
Sorry. I was on the Friends bandwagon. And I was
like
but
Friends.
I love his stand up. I love his stand up. Yeah, he's a good
Yeah,
comic.
he's a great comic,
He's a
yeah.
great comic.
That's a
he's-
traditional
He's a very
comic.
clean comic as well. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. I like Peters.
Russell Peters?
Yeah, yeah.
Who doesn't?
I must admit, I'm more of a fan of his earlier work,
Like a lot of people.
but that's a common thing I've heard. I'm more of a fan of his earlier work.
Well, no.
Here in Australia, I grew up with There's a guy called Carl Barron.
Yeah, I know Carl.
Yeah, Carl Barron.
Yeah, he's funny.
Grew up with comedians called Carl Barron. And then, of course, there's sort of like the ethnic side of comics that I love. And I'm so fortunate that they're friends and colleagues now.
Nice.
People like, you might have heard of some of these names, Joe Avati.
Yeah.
Joe Avati,
Yeah.
who's a friend, and
Nice.
I opened all across
Right.
Australia for Joe.
Nice.
There's another
You
guy.
guys kind of look alike.
We can't. I get that a lot.
Yeah, the bald head.
Now I'm bald.
Yeah.
I'm bald too. It's like all the Asians look the same.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
All the Italian bald people with a little bit of facial hair
Yeah,
all
that's
look
it.
the same as
Joe
well.
Avati,
Joe
James
Avati.
Liotta.
Yeah, that's right.
Andiamo. Grazie bella.
And there's another comic, a Greek comic, bald as well, George Kapiniaris.
Okay.
He's another colleague of mine. So there's all these a bunch of people
Yeah.
here that I grew up watching.
Nice.
And now I get to work with them on a
Sick.
regular basis, which is really special. Great. Maniscalco, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's very, very funny. Obviously, not everything, but, you know, there's a lot of topics there that even Joe Avati tackles as well, being sort of, you know, Italian-American or Italian-Australian. Yeah, they're Italian.
Yeah, they're Italian.
Yeah.
No,
they're Italian. I know the guys as well. So
Yeah,
obviously
they're great. Yeah,
they've
they're
gone
funny.
from massive
Yeah,
strength to
massive.
strength. You know, massive.
Yeah.
You know, starting with social media, and
Yeah.
then that took off
Yeah.
as well. But they're Italian, but they do embrace
Yeah,
a
different
lot of the
cultures.
different cultures. You know, and that's why a lot of people think, you know,
Yeah.
are they Greek or what have
Well,
you?
because they probably grew up
Yeah.
around Greeks and
but
shit
they're very, you know, like they've escalated heavily in the last few years. Like
I
they're
know.
very recent. You
I
know,
know.
they're sort of like 7 to 8 years old
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
So look, there's a lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot out there.
Nice, man.
I mean, what about yours?
Yeah, Russell Peters was my first.
Yeah.
inspiration.
Can I find out like how that happened?
Oh yeah.
To open for Russell, because that's cool.
Yeah. Well, we found out that, long story short, they already were fans of my videos online.
Right.
And
Like
when we,
Russell and his team.
yeah, Russell and his team. His brother also manages him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clayton. Yeah,
Right.
and like, you know, we've been lucky enough to kind of connect with them, and especially with Clayton, you know,
Yeah.
my brother and him are you know, they keep in contact, and they're, you know, we're kind of close, and you know, we go back and forth sometimes. And one time we were actually getting ready for our first tour that I was gonna do just within Canada.
Yeah.
And we had a few questions. Oh, sorry, there was an article that came out about me, or no, it was about them. And then they shouted my name out on the article, but we didn't know that. And then so we're like, what the fuck? Like, why would they mention me? Like, that's crazy, right? And then we kind of emailed them asking about it. And within minutes, Clayton got back to my brother. They're like, yeah, we actually love Neema's work, blah, blah, blah. And like, can we pick your brain? And they're like, yeah, how about lunch? And then we just had lunch. And then from there, they're like, yo, Russell's coming to Canada for the first time in like 5 years to do his tour stops. And they called us and were like, yo, like, you want to come by?
That's
and they actually
incredible.
didn't ask me to open at first. They just told us to come to the show.
Right.
Just to like check backstage and like hang out.
Okay.
Which is like already fucking
Yeah.
way better than anything else,
Yeah.
right? And then when we get there, literally 15 minutes before before the show starts, it was in Ottawa, Ontario, in Canada. It was in a stadium where one of the hockey teams play. And it was like, I think it was like 10 or 11,000 people or something like that. And literally 15 minutes before the show starts, Clayton, Russell's brother, comes up to my brother and tells him something, whatever. And then my brother comes to me. He's like, yo, come over here for a second. And he's like, yo, how do you feel about going on stage for 10 minutes? And then that was when I was like, what do you mean? Like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what do you mean?
So you didn't know?
I had no idea. I had zero idea until that moment, 15 minutes before the show started. I remember vividly. We were in the back, and he came up to me. He was like, yo, how do you feel about going on stage for 10 minutes? I'm like, what the fuck?
Story.
Like, obviously, in my head, like without a question, it's a yes. I'm going to go on stage.
Yeah.
But, like, I almost had to, like, reassure, like, what he just said to me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, what, really?
At that moment, does your brain just fry and go, which part, what of my stand-up am I going to do?
Oh, yeah, that was the first question I had in my head.
What am I going to pick for 10 minutes?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's what, remember I was talking about Lachlan and, like, asking him what material I should do?
Yeah.
That was the thing I was worried about. I was like, oh, shit, I got to go on stage right now. What do I talk about? What do I do? But luckily, I was working on my own tour set for the past, like, 8 months at that point.
So you had plenty of
It was, like, a
material.
lot of polished stuff. So, like, thank God. So I had 10 minutes of good stuff. It's just, I was like, what 10 minutes do I do?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, point of all this is to say, one, it was obviously mind-blowing, mind-blasting, as Russell would say in his earlier stuff, that this happened. And the fact that it happened so last minute, literally. But one thing I've learned from this is that, as cheesy, as a cliche as it sounds, when your name gets called, you better be ready to go up and do it. And that was that moment for me. That was one of those moments for me.
Yeah.
And I was like super ready. I was like very nervous still, but like very excited. And you know, I knew what material I would do, and that's it. I just went up there. I fucking did what I know, did what I've been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's all it was,
That's
man.
incredible.
And I had one of the best sets of my life.
Mate, that is congratulations
Thanks.
to you. That is so cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And you're absolutely right, because you do not know in this business when the opportunities land in your lap.
Yeah.
You'll get a call for 6 months' time. You'll get a call tomorrow going, you available the next day to do like some huge gig?
Yeah.
Something's come up. You
Anything.
don't know.
You have no idea.
And you got to be ready.
Yep.
And you know, as a stand-up comic, if that's what you do, you're right. You got to have 10, 20, 30 minutes up your sleeve.
Yeah.
You got, you know,
Any
strong
moment.
stuff that you know, because you don't know
Never know.
where you can use it.
Exactly.
That is an incredible story.
Thanks.
So obviously, you know, you're mates with Russell. You keep in touch and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say we're like friends like that, but like we know each other now. Like, you know,
we got to hang out with him. Sure.
Yeah. A couple times. I opened for him again the next night in another city.
Oh, there you go.
It was like 6,000 people in a place called Kingston, Ontario. And then the night after was the last show in Canada, which was in our hometown of Toronto.
Yeah.
In our main arena, and it was 16,000 people.
That's
and
incredible.
that was the biggest show I've ever done.
That's
that was
incredible.
crazy.
I haven't done stand up to that kind of number, but I have. I think my biggest number is like 4,000, something like
Still
that.
pretty good,
Well, it's
man.
great.
It's a lot
In
more than
theatre,
most people.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's a huge, as you know,
I know.
huge buzz.
Oh, yeah,
When you
huge.
hear a roar of
Oh, it's
laughter
crazy.
like that, crazy.
Nothing beats it.
But I have done MC work to like 20,000.
Okay.
it's incredible. Like
It's nuts.
those kinds of.
When did you do MC? For
Oh, look, it was in a stadium arena in Sydney. This was years ago.
Oh, wow.
But I have done festivals here. I did a lot of MC work.
Yeah.
And I have done festivals where there's been crowds of 20,000.
That's
like cultural festivals.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's dope.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So that kind of crowd, you can't beat it. But yeah. When you get into the thousands in stand-up, whether it be 1,000 or 16,000 or more, it's incredible feeling.
It's nuts. It's
an
so
incredible
different
feeling.
from the smaller rooms.
And you have to pitch it differently as
You have
well.
to,
You got to be grander. You got to be bigger.
You're bigger,
you gotta be,
but you also have to be more patient.
yeah.
Because the laughs take way longer
The
to come back.
timing is different. You got to,
you gotta
and
slow
that's
down.
where you start to learn the professionalism of how to tackle different environments.
Yeah,
Because your
exactly.
stand-up, your 10 minutes will be different at an arena than at the club.
100%.
You know?
10 minutes at the club is like 20, 25 minutes in a massive arena.
Yeah.
Because solely based off of the laughs you're
Sure.
getting.
Yeah.
The timing. Yeah, pace.
But
Pace
it's such
really
a
matters.
great experience.
Yeah, thanks. No, I appreciate
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, man. So, anyways, that was that story.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
But
Amazing.
yeah, man. That was a pretty good place to wrap it up, man. Yeah.
Mate, it has been a pleasure.
Thanks for
I've
being on.
absolutely loved the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course,
And
man.
it's great to have you here in Australia.
Yeah, I love it. I love
I wish you
Australia.
all the very best. Mate, you're working tirelessly
Thank you.
around the country.
Appreciate you as well, man.
You're doing exactly what you're here to do.
That's it.
You're not stuffing around. I'm sure you're enjoying yourself along the way,
yeah,
but
of
you're
course.
not. You know, you're
Nah,
here.
man. We here to work, baby.
Yeah, you're here to work, and you are working.
Heaps work.
Heaps work.
Heaps
and
work,
you,
mate.
You're keen. You're heaps
Yeah, I'm
keen.
super keen, mate.
And best wishes with your shows
Thanks,
as well.
man.
And your touring around.
I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure, man. I'm sure we'll see you around a bunch of other
absolutely.
shows and
Look
everything
forward
like that
Keeping in touch
throughout the year. Yeah. If you have anything to plug, please direct it
mate.
to this camera
Thank
right
you so
here.
much. Thank you.
Your social media
Yeah.
and any shows coming up, whatever.
Yeah. Social media is at James Liotta Entertainer on Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. And then, I'm doing my national tour in June, July this year. So I'm doing Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, and Brisbane. It's called the Mama's Not Happy Tour. And because if you don't buy tickets, she'll be very unhappy and I'll have to get a real job after 28 years. But so, yeah, look, tickets are available through my website, jamesliotta.com.au. Some of the shows are already half sold, which is great. So as we say, get in quick, don't delay. Whichever shows you're coming to see, get them right away. That's what people think and wait, and don't wait. Just get your tickets.
There you go. You heard it
That's
here
it.
first. Andiamo.
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 Forza.
Forza Milan. Forza Italia.
Forza Italia.
Forza Sicilia.
Forza, get your tickets.
That's it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. My name is NeemaNaz. This has been A Stupid Neema. And if you're listening, thank you as well. We'll see you in the next episode of A Stupid Neema. Thank you and ciao.